I'm chasing -2 at the moment. That's what I want. Because between -2 to -2.2, that's where the sea freezes.
Today on the podcast, we have Fenwick Ridley, who's the captain of the Team GB ice swimming team. Known as the Ice Viking, he competes in sub 5 degrees C waters.
I did -1.4, which is the coldest I've been so far. And that is the best way to describe numbing energy.
What kind of mindset does an ice swimmer need?
A new ice swimmer needs to be...
How do you build it cold tolerance?
Ooh. I think the great thing to kind of aim for is the...
Love it. Fenwick, what's your favourite swimming stroke?
Very difficult question. It's like one of the most difficult ones because I've got two main strokes, and I love them very differently. And they are so front crawl is the go-to fast house go-to swimming stroke for me in the cold.
Yep.
And then the powerhouse is butterfly.
Butterfly. Wow. You must be the only person who actually likes butterfly stroke.
I love it. It's such a powerful stroke. And it's definitely my for showing and showing power and strength of what I've been training. It's a real blast to do.
Yeah,
and,
I can imagine.
I've been training doing a bit of long distance ice fly.
Right. No, I can imagine you swimming towards me doing fly. It must be quite an intimidating butterfly. Must be quite an intimidating sight.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Next question. So, is there a temperature that's too cold for you?
No, because it's not about my feeling towards the lower temperature in the sense of that I would deter, because every single temperature I'm invited, and I always feel like as if I'm invited. So it's not. I don't think I've got a too cold temperature because I'm chasing -2 at the moment. That's what I want. Because between -2 to -2.2, that's where the sea freezes. See, fresh water, I've been down to 0.10, 0.01, sorry. And then, of course, I've always wanted to swim colder than that, and you can only do that in the sea because of the salt. But I did -1.4, which is the coldest I've been so far. And that is the best way to describe numbing energy. It's very powerful, but yes, it's proper cold.
Okay, so there is no temperature. Okay, got it. What's the best drink to have after an ice swim?
Oh God, you've got a few complicated questions straight off here, because there's two drinks.
Yeah,
there's two drinks. One is like a hot honey, lemon, and ginger.
Okay.
Or chai tea.
Yeah, that works.
The downside for when it comes out really cold, like what training, coffee isn't as good when it comes down to rewarming. But there is a very sweet spot when it comes down to cold water swimming, and between that 8 degrees and plus, coffee is actually not so bad. It changes. It changes because I actually love a coffee. I love a coffee on a day that I've been in water that's not too cold.
Yeah.
So it's a very complicated question, that one.
So why is that? Just the personal feeling, or is that because why not at 0 for coffee? Out of interest.
Yeah, because I think when it comes down to caffeine, when it comes down to blood flow and caffeine, the body goes through a series of simplest way of putting it. Your body starts to learn. When you start going colder, your body starts to adapt. And you need to allow your body to go into its natural adaptation flow and not force and not interrupt it, basically. It's supporting it and not interrupting it. And I think everybody just loves a really strong coffee.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's very, very few people will have not a very weak coffee, you know?
Yeah.
So, I think it's more down to interruption.
Okay, got it. Okay, so, and what kind of mindset does an ice swimmer need?
Ooh. And again, 2 different pages. A new ice swimmer needs to be calm, very thoughtful on approach and set up the whole ritual. Grounding and have good awareness of things around. But a really good one is having that controlled focus. And that comes in. So it's something that a good ice swimmer needs to build towards, is having good controlled focus. And staying present.
Perfect. Right. Okay. So, Fenwick, welcome to the podcast. So today on the podcast, we have Fenwick Ridley, who's the captain of the Team GB ice swimming team. Known as the Ice Viking, he competes in sub 5 degrees C waters. Fenwick's a big advocate of the benefits of cold water and stress, recovery and mindset, but you also own a sauna business and are big on contrast therapy. I guess before diving into the weeds of all of that, what your training involves, what advice we can give to people at home, like what are the ice swimming championships?
An event of celebrating hard work and excitement over the love of cold, really, and then for some to achieve and to explore records and be rewarded with a medal or whichever, but also people trying to get records in their age categories and compete against the other countries. Or it might be like us on the GB Championships this December up in Stonehaven. We're competing against each other. And we're also excited to see if we can get a few more into the team. So we might get a few people who perform really well this December, and we go, we need to take you to the European Championships this February in 2026.
And that's February in Italy, right?
Yeah, that's right. So competitive ice swimming is down below 5 degrees, like you just mentioned before. And ISA is the one who I represent, which stands for International Ice Swimming Association.
And so, like, what does it involve? Are you doing like 25-meter front crawl, 50-meter? Like, like what distances do you go up to at that temperature? Because I can't imagine you're doing 10K open water swims at 5 degrees or 2 degrees.
We are quite big on 50 to 100. And then like for the smaller distances, right up to 1 kilometer. And we've even involved a 200 meter IM now as well, which is brutal. So for people to understand what that is, that's all 4 strokes swam as 50 meters of each stroke. And that's below that 5 degree mark. And it's a very big ask.
Wow. And you guys basically, like at the ice swimming championships, you'll cut a strip. You'll find, is it like an ice covered lake or something, and you'll cut a strip, like pool shaped strip in it, and then swim? Is that how it works? Or
we have done in the past. There has been competitions where we've had to cut the ice and make a swimming pool out of it. But generally, the some of the places that we've been going to is either an outdoor Lido that is an open air pool that is weather cooled, and in the winter it gets really cold. Or it might be a lake that we have pontoon in and measured out a group of lanes. We just basically have the 50 meters. Ideally, 50 meters is the key, but sometimes we have like a 25-meter pool, and we'll have the lane set out like that.
And you don't swim under the ice. Or have you ever swum under the ice? Like, that's just crazy, right?
Yeah, I've swum underneath the ice.
Okay.
It's yeah, it's a bit of a heebie-jeebie thing, that one. And it's not one of my biggest draws is to swim underneath the ice, but there is that sport where they do the ice diving and underwater with a rubber rope and pulling themselves along.
Oh, so that is a separate sport. That is a sport, and they have their own championship
Yeah.
today. Oh wow. Okay. Got it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess you're like so you've got the UK championships coming up in a few weeks, I guess. So are you like in the thick of training? Like so let's start there. So what does like a typical week of training look like for you? And like, how are you doing it? Where are you training?
Yeah, so a mixture between pool and open water, ice bath and gym. So there's and not forgetting, probably one of the biggest tools for me is the sauna. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a few different elements of of training, and for a week, it really depends on where my body's state is and how much rest I've had,
Right.
how I'm actually feeling. So it can change, but
Okay.
I do have a particular structure for
Yeah.
contrast training. So there's not many people
Okay.
doing a very particular length of swimming in a particular temperature, and then use the sauna as well. So it's very carefully managed, that, and then I do a lot of land-based sort of training, and yeah, I'm just picking up the pace at the moment because we've only got a few weeks to go, and I've got to basically perform. I've knocked my swimming down because I'm a long distance ice swimmer. That's my main thing. I did 3 kilometers in 2.8 degrees. Now I've had to transition into short courses, so I'm swimming shorter distance but more power and speed.
Yeah.
So I'm working on speed and power at the moment. And what that looks like is basically 50 meters free. 50 meters front crawl, 50 meters fly, and 100 meters front crawl. So that's what I'm working on now. I've had to drop back off the long distance swimming. So at the moment, I'm doing burst training in the lake, and basically bringing up the fitness level, and taking a little bit of weight off as well.
And then in the lake, is it ice channeling? Did I read, is that the name for it, where you actually chop a channel into the lake? Is it frozen over? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so like in the winter, if I'm not able to get in the lake because of being frozen, I'll chop a big channel, and I'll chop that by hand, and then I'll go in, and then I'll swim back and forward and get my training in. So that's a long day.
It's a long day.
And I normally get a bit obsessed with it.
Do you do that on your own, or do you take anyone with you? Like, is that safe? Like, is that, are you be doing this on your own?
All right. So I've promised my wife that I've changed my ways on when I go and train. And I've also trained up my dog to actually support me as well. Okay. So she could actually pull me out of the ice hole and aid me if need be. But yes, some swims I will do on my own, but I have a very well set up of safety. I'll message before and message afterwards, you know. And quite often I do have someone with me, and they're trained to support me as well. But some of the bigger stuff that I do, I have a team. So I have a team of people. Yeah.
And you mentioned something interesting before around your, it sounds a bit like you don't have a fixed training schedule, and you actually listen to your body a bit. And like, do you, if you wake up and you're not feeling like swimming, in the ice, do you listen to your body? Like, how big a part does that play in your training? Because that's something that, most people are terrible at. And I've got better at. I track my HRV, heart rate variability. And, when I was training for the 100-mile run, if I woke up and my HRV was bad, I wouldn't do a long training run. I'd just do a really slow, steady zone 2 training run. So do you like, how in tune are you to your body, or do you force yourself to go out if you're not feeling like it?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Body wise, I'm very careful because um, our bodies don't like too much force. Our bodies like a bit of force, but if there's something not quite right, you're working with what I call a system down. So if you push too hard on system down, then that's where you have mistakes, and also you end up having things go out of place, and you could make yourself more poorly or whichever. But yeah, it's being cautious about the biggest things is hydration,
Yeah.
and making sure that we're conscious about like the fuel intake. So if I feel like as if I haven't had that much fuel, I'll not go out and push too hard. I'll actually vary and spread the time a bit and change my format. But if it's more psychological, I'll absolutely 100% power through and try and demolish that little demon on the shoulder.
Okay. Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of the biggest benefits of cold water and ice just in general is being able to conquer that, because you probably always got that voice in your head. I mean, I know I certainly did when I used to do ice baths. You always have a voice in your head saying, I don't want to do this. I'd rather be cuddled up and warm, because that's our kind of innate, natural, desire, I guess, for comfort. But so
Yeah.
you probably, so, powering through the psychological barriers is probably, you probably have to do that quite frequently, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest part of this is becoming best friends with discomfort and becoming so close you understand every angle. So becoming best friends with discomfort and being really close and understanding about pain as well, because this discomfort and pain, and for some people, can add to this little demon on the shoulder saying, "You can't do it. You're not very good at this. You're not going to get through this. In fact, that you're not going to manage even to get in there." That's that little demon I'm best friends with. And sometimes we fall out, but it's always there to be friends. We get confused with this. It's a power. It's a very valuable thing, is having that voice. Although, where does that voice come from? Where we create it. So if we create it, we can control it. It's it's a very, very powerful tool when it comes down to extreme activity.
Yeah, and if you can, learn to conquer that voice, or control that voice, acknowledge it, and then do it anyway in places like ice swimming and cold water, then you can control it elsewhere in life, and that's the kind of one of the biggest psychological benefits of the cold water and ice baths and cold showers and things, isn't it? It's so you just learn how to control your yeah, exactly, that voice in your mind. How long have you been doing this for, out of interest?
So I was 19 when I first started doing the open water,
Right.
and I started off doing 10K swims. Like I would do anything between 600 and 800 mile a year in the open water.
Right.
And then I got a little bit obsessed with the idea of going a bit colder, and I then went down a rabbit hole of research and realized that I actually had an ability to be able to go a bit colder. And I think I already had this natural mindset to be able to go at it and explore it. And every season, yes, winters change and stuff like that, but the respect stays exactly the same, and the power just gets bigger.
And what about the opposite side of this? So the sauna. So you have a sauna business. You mentioned contrast therapy, and sauna is a big part of your training. Like, why?
Yeah.
How is the sauna? How does the sauna play into this? Like, what's your secret?
Yeah, so one of the great things about going into the cold, we we get thermally adapted. We get used to it. And there's two thermal regulators in the body. There's the non-shivering thermogenesis, and then you've got the shivering thermogenesis. So the non-shivering is the brown fat, and the shivering thermogenesis is the muscles. And when we start getting into the cold, we actually start adapting, and our adaptation is growing brown fat cells. Our body recognizes and goes, I'm going to get better at this. So I'm going to start helping you with this and helping you thermally regulate. And what we also do is we also exercise that thermal regulator in the sauna as well. So we actually do use that brown fat, and it helps us regulate. And that's where the power tool comes in, because both fire and ice use brown fat on thermal regulation and the way we actually manage. So actually,
interesting.
The sauna can actually help with the habitual stance in the cold from just doing more sauna.
Wow. Okay. So brown fat actually helps you stay warm in the cold, but it also helps you cool down in the heat.
So it also, so that exercising that thermal regulator is also it comes from being in the sauna. So that's the edge that I ended up getting obsessed with, is not just contrast therapy, but contrast training. And finding a balance between the cold and the heat to supercell and to supercharge my ability. And over the last few years, I've noticed my recovery is even quicker and stronger. My time frame of keeping thermally regulated in the cold has become greater. So I managed a static cool, which was what I call a sitting in the ice bath. I sat there for an hour and 20 minutes, and I was just under a degree. And yes, I was in a bit of a state.
Minutes. Oh my God.
Yes, I was but I'm not really looking to chase anyone in particular, but I wanted to explore what I've managed to create. Probably one of the most savage rewarming stages I've had, and that was coming out with a brass monkey, because I've got a brass monkey ice bath in the and that's what helps me throughout the summer. When it's quite warm, I've got that ice bath. But I'll just state this as well. Staying in that long doesn't have any benefits. It's zero benefits. And the benefit range is between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, because it's the same metabolic response that you have in that bracket than what you would if you stayed in 5-10 minutes. Now, all you end up doing is burning energy. You just become an energy burner.
Yeah, I got really into ice baths a few years ago, and basically just took it to the extreme and just used to do 5 minutes every single day. And I'm a really skinny guy, and I was doing training for ultra runs at the time, so I probably had zero fat on me, and it just kind of in the end it just ruined my nervous system, and I couldn't handle any cold, and I'm still kind of struggling to get my cold tolerance back. So I think I just pushed it too much. I think, I treated it like a bit of a sport.
It's difficult one, this one, because there's a couple of questions in that. And really what it comes down to, I mean, I've got a nice amount of natural bioprene. So basically it takes longer for the coolant to get to my core. So basically the better way of saying that is I've got more shielding, and, cooling it's all through conduction. We all cool at the same rate. So you cool at exactly the same rate as me. Although I have an ability to regulate for longer, and also it takes longer to get to my core because of how much I've got on us. But the beauty about for you, you're saying you're quite skinny. Yes, the cooling would get to your core a little bit sooner, but who's to say that you have an obscene amount of brown fat that your body's held on to from since being a kid. So when you're born with a lot of brown fat. That's our protector. And we start to lose it when we grow. Some of us actually have no brown fat at all. And this has been proven by a lovely, very clever doctor who built a machine that measures brown fat. And you can actually, she actually showed that like there was actually some people that had like literally no brown fat at all. So that makes a lot of sense, because some people turn around and go, I get really cold really quick. It might be the fact that they've got less brown fat and it opts for their secondary responder in generating heat, which is the shiver response. And so, but it is possible for you to get that that cold tolerance back, because your body does recognize it.
So can I rebuild? Can I develop my brown fat? Can I rebuild up my stores of brown fat? That is possible.
Yeah,
okay.
We all have different rates. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like. Well, let's cut this a little bit. We're all different. We're all different sizes, ability, fitness level, muscle mass, everything. Everything is different between us all. So we all have different rates of growth of that brown fat. See, mine might be a little bit higher because I might already have quite a lot. All right. But yours might be steady. If you kept up a regime where you are activating brown fat all the time, you will grow it. So it doesn't just come from an ice bath. You wear shorts and a t-shirt all day or every day. You're activating brown fat cells. You're helping your system regulate. So it's not just about the ice bath. It actually comes down to sleeping, day-to-day stuff, wearing shorts and t-shirt. Yeah.
And sauna as well. So, and heat as well.
And then sauna.
Yeah.
Or should I say the correct way you meant to say it is sauna.
Sauna. Yeah. Well, actually, so for the last few years, we've lived in this block of flats in Portugal, and it's this seems to be all Swedes who live there. And I think because of the Swedish contingent, maybe it was built by a Swedish company or something, I don't know, it's had a sauna in it. So I'd never really had saunas before, but for the last 3 years, I've been having a sauna religiously every other day. And then then having like a kind of a roll. We don't have any ice here, you see, it's quite hard to get, but having like a cold shower afterwards. But yeah, what I've never done is that ice cold or hot, ice hot. So maybe we should take it now to, if someone at home wants to, I guess, first build up their ice tolerance, and then we'll come on to the contrast side after that. So if someone like wants to build up ice tolerance, who's starting from nothing today, what is the best way for someone to get into like maybe having ice baths or ice shower, cold showers or whatever? Like, how do you build your cold tolerance?
Best sort of practice for this is to maybe start with the shower. I will point out, cold showers, even if you get 20 ice swimmers together who are, well adapted, if you ask them, do you like cold showers? Bet you 19 of them will say, no, I don't like cold showers. And like, not many people do like them. But I think the great thing to like kind of aim for with this is the mindset, is actually looking at on the angle of getting that improvement of not comfort, because you're not going to get comfort. It's exploring the sensations. That's what it's all about. So the best tip for someone who wants to start doing get a bit of cold stimulus and getting it from a cold shower is to start on your shoulders. So you never go straight onto your head and your face and everything straight off. You stand in front of the shower, get a little bit of the water in your hands, put it onto your face, because you're stimulating the cranial nerves. They have a lot to do with the mammalian dive reflex. They can help you calm. All right. So putting a bit of water onto that face, and then start onto your shoulders, down the sides, on your legs. And then eventually, if you feel comfortable, you can put it across your back or across your chest. But the head is actually not needed. So the scalp and the back of the head have a bit of a funny response when it comes down to blood pressure. And actually, it's unneeded to actually go to those areas straight off. In fact, ice dipping and getting into the cold, really, you should be like firmly protecting your head. So, because we lose a lot of heat out the top of our head. So actually wearing a beanie or a hat or something like that, it'll actually shunt the heat back towards the core where it's most important. Because this is where the magic's happening. If you think about how our body actually goes into regulating, It sends all the warm blood towards the core to protect the core. So that's a learning mechanism where your body goes, that's my job. So instead of interfering with that mechanism, we protect the head and we send it to where it's most important. So you're starting the building blocks of your body learning. So, and this is, this is a solid fact when it comes down to the cold. You don't need to do one, dunk in the head, two, putting too much cold on the head, and you don't need to stay in that long. So actually just a small amount of cold stimulus is the same metabolic response. So like and you'll still, endorphins, dopamine, yes, there's a greater sort of percentage if you get that hydrostatic hug. If you submerge yourself and get that, and it's the best way of describing it, is that hug that you get from submerging yourself. You get a different response in the body's pressure. So starting blocks, get used to the cold stimulus and become friends with the temperature. Don't use heat straight off, straight onto cold, because if you go onto a little bit of warmth, you're allowing that invasive thought to define how strong you are. You go straight onto the cold and start playing with the cold. That's the friend that you need to become friends with.
Okay, and you say not too long. You don't need that long in the cold shower. Are you still aiming for that kind of 30 seconds to 2 minutes, kind of maybe building up to 2 minutes, or do you even need to go that far? Or
building up to 2 minutes first, and then from that, if you get to the 2 minute mark, then explore having that 2 minute mark. Don't increase it. Explore that mark for about 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks of using the cold in that bracket of just a couple of minutes is perfect, because what you're doing is you're doing a lovely balance between the psychological building and allowing your body to get used to that little bracket. And then you can start increasing it a little bit if you want. But bear in mind, all you're doing is just burning more energy.
Yeah. So then could you start thinking about, I guess maybe just filling a bath at home with cold water before even investing in an ice bath?
Absolutely right. Yeah, that's it. You're banging on it. Yeah. So in this time of year, a lot of us can sit with, you can sit a tub outside. You can get them quite cheap now these days. I'm not going to bang on about different brands, but there's loads of there's loads of things out there. Hey, you can go to like your local farm shop and get yourself one of the big troughs and put it in the ground. One of my nicest things to do is when I'm teaching people about this cold building is that, start in the house, but then once you've done that little bit of time of going into the shower in the house, take it outdoors, buy yourself 2 buckets, put holes inside the inside bucket. So put them together, put holes in the inside bucket, fill it with water, hang it up somewhere outside, leave it overnight. And then as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, that is the key time for your body to take that cold. And it's the most exciting part. As soon as you open your eyes, go outside and go and tell the neighbors how crazy you are.
Well, even if it's dark, so like, even this time of year when it's pitch black, you just wake up, get outside.
Most important.
Yeah.
Most important.
Wow,
because the lift off that is insane. Yeah.
And would you recommend doing that every day, or kind of, not every day? Is it a daily practice?
If you can get it in every day, fair play. If you can get it in 2 or 3 times a week, that's perfect.
I'm just going to interrupt today's podcast to say, if you're enjoying the conversation today, subscribe to our email newsletter. So we send out a weekly email sharing the breakdown of the latest podcast episode. That comes out every Tuesday. And then every Sunday, me and my wife and co-founder Kirsty send an email newsletter out. I think we're up to edition 200 now. We've been sending it out every week, every Sunday for the last 3 years. And we literally keep our finger on the health and wellness pulse. We share the latest research, the latest trends, hacks, science, and more. So head to exhalecoffee.com and subscribe to our email newsletter, or click the link in the show notes. Right, back to the show. Okay, cool. Okay, wicked. And are there any like little rituals that you do before getting into the cold? Anything you'd recommend that people do, like a few deep, long exhales or whatever, Are there any little tips for that? Or do you just jump straight in?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a couple of different ways for myself.
Yeah.
I'll either bypass absolutely everything and have no thought coming in and just go with my full body's actions and get into the water. And I'll probably do a couple of breathing exercises as I'm entering. So that is basically conscious breathing. And we are buggers for when we go to try something hard, we'll not realize what we do, but we hold our breath. And you'll do these micro holds, even if you're climbing stairs or getting out the vehicle, we actually don't realize how much we hold our breath. So it's having a more of a conscious outlook of breathing that will actually support you on getting into that water. My other good practice is, yes, it's more of a mantric way where I'll actually choose a very selected amount of music and I'll listen to that music before going in. Or I'll have a mantra of some sorts, something, a deep sentence that resonates with me. That tends to be if I'm doing bigger, brutal swims. And I stole this very particular sentence off a friend of mine, and I took it so far that I actually have it on here. So it says, "My skin is my armor is strong." And
Love it.
That seems to resonate a lot with my bigger stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Brilliant. Okay. So many questions I could ask. Okay, one thing I thought of was actually, I have Raynaud's, and I know, like, I organise a little swimming club in Portugal. There's a lot of people who come who also have Raynaud's, so I think it's really common. For listeners who've never heard of it, it's basically where your fingers, when you go into the cold, your fingers go really ghostly white, and all the blood flows out of your extremities, I guess, to your core. Don't really know too much about why, but if someone suffers from Raynaud's, which I think is like quite a high percentage of the population, are they okay to do this kind of thing? Or is that your body telling you that you shouldn't really be getting in the cold?
Quite the opposite. You should be going into the cold as much as possible. When we look at Raynaud's is a blood flow. I would like to say issue, but it's not really a big issue for most people. Some people actually have quite painful Raynaud's, and that could be every single day they get it. One of the key things that we've found out, the more times that we get into the water, the more your exercise and blood flow. And what it can do is the more times that you get in, it reduces Raynaud's. So we're actually using the same element to actually help us overcome it. Sounds mad, but actually the more swimming that you do, especially like in temperatures from 15 degrees and below, you're actually helping and actually going to be able to knock out Raynaud's completely by doing more swimming. So,
I mean, sounds crazy, but you know, same with most things in life. It's quite often the thing that caused the issue. That is the thing that helps cure the issue. Like, I had a bad knee for years, which hurt whenever I ran, and it ended up being running that helped cure the bad knee because it just strengthened it and built conditioning and resilience in my knee. So yeah, can totally imagine.
And of course, there's one big thing that actually supports this as well is what is the catalyst of like the blood flow? Well, hydration is. So, and when you talk to most people, some people might turn around and say, "Oh no, I drink plenty of water," but no, are you actually replenishing the correct salts? So you should be really, if you experience Raynaud's, you should be even more on top of like hydration salts. And I'm not talking about these little tablets that dissolve and they've got additives, sugars, colorants and flavors and basic rubbish. We need straight up magnesium, sodium, potassium chloride. We need those things, a liquid hydrate. We use a fantastic brand called Elite, and it's basically straight up liquid hydrate and no crap. And I've had people who have had quite bad Raynaud's, and with a continual use of the cold water and using the hydration, it's been so quick in responding. So hydration is a really, really big factor in blood flow.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, I feel reassured. And the other thing I wanted to ask on a similar kind of line is the cold drop afterwards. And that's basically where you get out of the cold, and then it can be like a minute or two later even. I feel like your core temperature just drops and you kind of shiver uncontrollably, which can last for like 20 minutes, half an hour, up to even like an hour or two later. So something I also get.
Yeah.
I only get the cold drop after I used to be really good with the ice. I didn't have any Raynauds, any cold drops or anything until I really pushed the ice baths too hard. And now something's changed where I now suffer from cold drops, I get Raynauds. But, it's not just me. A lot of people in our swim club get out of the sea in the winter and then they message me a few hours later and they're like, God, I'm still shivering. So yeah, what's the best tips for after getting out the cold?
I've got so much on this because
Let's go.
I've devoted so much time and everything onto this. So I mean, what's one of the biggest thing that's happening here is we are going through a stage of cooling where we pass from the superficial cooling and we go into fat, and then you're into muscle stores, and then you're into deep body cooling. So deep body cooling tends to happen between 8 and 10 minutes, for the average person. So from 10 minutes to 15 minutes, you'll find that everybody who's been in the water for between 10 and 15 minutes will be into the stages of deep body cooling. So they've went past the skin tissue, fat tissue, into the muscle stores, and most likely into this point, they could start getting signals of numb fingers, numb toes, maybe even shivering in the water. This massively relies on energy. So depletion is a big part in this. If you're more depleted, you'll probably find yourself hit them stages of responses of like shivering or something like that a little bit sooner. But we all cool, like I said before, we all cool at the same rate. So what's that saying is we won't hit that hypothermic stage if we've been in there for just a couple of minutes. It's not possible for us to do that. But if you've got a cold or if you're just about to have the flu, COVID was a nasty one because people didn't realize they had COVID and they would end up getting treated for hypothermia because it literally brought out a system down sort of moment for people. Anyway, away from that, when we look at how people drop in temperature, we continue to get colder. Our coldest point of our swim is actually when you're getting changed and getting dried, because conduction, the cooling from conduction, which we all do, that doesn't just stop as soon as you exit the water. In fact, we're in the water, we're swimming, and we go to the side, we get out, and we're still dropping in temperature, and we get out of the water, and we start getting changed, and we're still dropping in temperature because cooling through conduction. And at this point, we're just about to get changed, and then what tends to happen is when we're starting to get our clothes on, we're putting that barrier in place. So as long as you're drying yourself and you wrap up warm, you then start shielding yourself for any more cooling to happen. So your body then starts rewarming. And yes, so when you're fully clothed, you will find that it's the coldest point of your swim. And if someone's massively depleted, if someone's like dehydrated, or they've stood, even if they've stood around and not got changed quick enough, they'll probably have a really savage rewarming stage. And it might result in 40 minutes up to even an hour of like in and out of like shivers because the system is struggling. When we start swimming in the cold, because remember, this is a class as an extreme activity. Our bodies change temperature. So when the body just basically needs energy, so fuel. So when you come out of the water, you should be getting onto the sugars, because what's going to support that shiver response? Hot water by itself, not possible, because our bodies are made up of a lot of water. And that little bit of water going in, it might feel psychologically nice, but it's what's in that drink. So if a sugary drink, that's going to help basically for glycogen. Glycogen is basically a delivery system to the muscles for that shiver response. So ideally, if you want to get better rewarming, is to make sure that your system is good in hydration, and fuel, but also your method of coming out, getting dried, getting into a cocoon, and get something sugary to eat, and maybe it's a hot drink to deliver the sugars quicker. But if you just sit there, and just wrap up and just sit there and don't do anything, yes, your body's basically just going, all right, I'll try and do this by myself. Because you've already burnt on the way to the water, you've already burnt a load of energy through apprehensiveness, anxiety, and pressures of that. When you get into the water, you start burning more energy. And then when you get out, you start burning any more energy. It's like, oh my God, did you have a slice of toast this morning? Because that's not going to help.
Right. Okay.
So it's all about, the biggest thing about being in the cold is having awareness over your body's intake, so your energy levels, and you'll have a much better rewarming sort of passage if you've got everything in order. So don't go for tight jeans or anything like that, and don't go for base layers. Everything has to be baggy and fast, because you've got this opportunity between 4 and 8 minutes for the average person, where you'll come out the water, and you feel all right. You feel dreamy. You've got endorphins, dopamine, and everything's like, well, yeah, this is a great swim. Oh, how was your swim? And then boom, after about between 4 and 8 minutes, they realize, holy shit, I'm really, really cold here. And that's because that's when your body goes, oh, by the way, I'm not generating any more heat here, and I'm really struggling, so I'm going to opt for your shiver response. And and it's interesting because this afterdrop is basically all it sounds like a nasty roller coaster if you don't look after yourself and have good preparation and good ritual in place to rewarm. And it's fascinating because some people go, oh no, you shouldn't shiver. Well, no, you should be, because that's your body's mechanism in rewarming. That's fine. If you're a winter swimmer, you're going to shiver, and that's totally fine. But if you've just been in a few moments, if you've just been in for a couple of minutes and you come out and you're shivering, that's an indication to something else is going wrong with the system. So it may be that you're down on flu or cold, or you might be harboring something, or you might just not be looking after yourself. Because really, ideally, you shouldn't need to shiver on just getting in 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay. And then what about, because you see like Wim Hof doing his squats and his horse stance, is it? And then his movements. Do you buy into anything like that after cold? Should we like jump on the spot, do some squats, do a little run, jogging on the spot, anything like that help?
So I absolutely love that you've asked this question. And it's also a very terrifying subject, because some people actually think if they've been cooling themselves and going in the water for a period of time when you're into that deep body cooling stage, if you come out and start jumping around, what you can then end up doing is accelerating that cool blood that you've just been cooling in the extremities, and that'll accelerate and rush towards the core. That's not very good for you, because that will actually make you pass out. It's basically strangling the system. But what you can do, so if you're going in for just a short period of time, just a dip, then there's no problem, because you're not deep body cooling. You're not going to have that much mixture of that cool blood and warm blood. But you can like do some stretches, move around. But if you've been in there long enough where you've went into deep body cooling, the ideal scenario is to look upon drying yourself, wrapping up, not rubbing the skin, by the way, because you've just cooled and made your skin delicate. It's all about tap and drying. And then you sit down. It's better to have that sitting position for your body's initial rewarming stage. And then once you've kind of getting to the point where you've went through a few of the shivers, you stand up and you can limber up. So doing a bit of stretching and a bit of walking around is good. It's fine, because you're encouraging blood flow. Just don't encourage blood flow too fast.
Yeah.
if you've been deep body cooling. That's the issue.
Okay.
So some movements are okay, but it all depends on time frame of being in, and also temperature as well. And I suppose with it depends on the person. I mean, I would probably be able to get away with doing a few jumps around and stuff like that, but it's not good. It's not for the average
Yeah.
person. No, it's not a good thing to do.
I'm so glad I asked.
There was an incident not too long ago. I'm not going to tell you for where it was and who it was, but there was an incident not long ago where someone came out the water and they were in the water for a bit too long. They'd done a sauna and dip and they'd be staying in the water for a bit too long, came out and felt really a bit unwell because they'd stayed in for a little bit too long. And apparently the lifeguard said, go and get a hot shower. And they passed out in the shower. And they were very, very poorly. And that is it's not very good information to give out, because all you're going to do is accelerate that cool blood towards the core, and it can cause some pretty serious stuff. So yeah, biggest tip, warm up, rewarmings from the inside out. So we support that by cocooning.
And warm drink, but sweetened. There's something sweet in it. And hydration. Okay. And get cocooned quite quickly after getting out of the water. Don't wait. So yes, because you know, you go over so many different possibilities in your head. And one thought that I had was that maybe you should get out of the cold and slowly reheat and not put on layers too quickly. But actually it sounds like that's the opposite of what you should be doing. Right, okay.
Yeah, opposite, because your body, it's internal that's actually going to start generating heat again, and you're needing to trap that. That's what you need to trap. So yeah, your body's quite well equipped. It's your responsibility is to support that by fuel and wrap it up. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about the sauna side of things and the heat and the contrast therapy. So if someone, you know, so we've now moved house. We're very sad to say that we don't live in this Swedish block anymore. We don't have access to a sauna, but we are hoping to buy a house at some point in the next year, in the next 6 months maybe. First thing I want to do when we buy a house is buy a sauna, or build a sauna in the garden. Potentially build some kind of ice bath. Like, I thought I'd been scarred and put off ice baths for life, but now I'm feeling like maybe I should get back into it a little bit in a more controlled, gentle way.
Yeah.
But so if I, was to have access, if someone at home was to have access to a sauna and an ice bath, like, how does someone do contrast therapy? What's the deal? Like, for a normal person, because I know you're probably doing something quite extreme for like hours on end, but like for a normal person to benefit from it.
Yeah. This is great, because like a beginner's guide to contrast therapy is a very easy thing to get into. It's funny you asked this, because like I'm actually like literally constructing on my website the beginner's guide to contrast therapy. And it's a very simple thing. We start off by looking at the heat first. So becoming friends with the heat, and anything between 80 to 100 degrees is pretty damn good. So 80 to 85 is the activation sort of temperature of a sauna that you get the benefits. And actually, most people can manage your full 15 minutes, but like 10 to 15 minutes is your optimum range of time to start that sauna session. Anything longer than that, then again, going back to this energy burner, you don't really need to be in there that long. So 10 minutes, let's say we go in the sauna for 10 minutes at 100 degrees.
Yep.
And if you've managed your first sitting of 100 degrees, that's, hey, well done. Because some people can do about 8 minutes and then they're starting to feel quite hot. You might not sweat for the first round, but that's absolutely fine, because if you're new to it, most likely your body's response into the heat will be like, oh, I don't know what's going on here. Do I need to sweat now? most likely the second round, your body will go, yeah, don't worry, I'll cool your skin down. I know what to do here. So your first round, you might not sweat. That's totally fine, totally normal. Now, before I even go in the sauna, I think I just start sweating because my body goes, you're near a sauna. I'm going to start now. Your body's really fascinating it's so fascinating when it comes down to responses and like how it merges with so much. Anyway, so we go into the cold. So the cold is all about bringing the heart rate down in a gentle way. So we don't need to do it fast. We do it. Everything that we do is always gradual and step by step. So let's just say you were doing a sauna session with me and I was teaching you about contrast therapy. We would come out the sauna and we would probably either stand in the rain and let ourselves get a bit of rain on us, or it could be a little bit of breeze, and then we'll go and get some water on us. Now, the water on the skin is really good because the slight breeze will actually bring that heart rate down lovely and gently. Or we can get in the water and we'll go down to our shoulders and maybe get a bit of water on our face. But we'd only go in there to get the water on and then come straight back out. We don't really need to stay in there for very long because the beauty of the water being on our skin actually helps bring that heart rate down just as well from just standing outside.
But what temperature water?
So a first session, let's just say it's between 10 and 20, So, and that's absolutely fine. But if it's any colder, then you're just going to have to look at ways of focusing your mind onto actually getting in there. Because it does become more of a psychological thing when it comes down to a bit colder. So getting the water on us, let's just say we went in there for about 30 seconds. We had a little bit of a float and then we got back out. Then we wait. We wait for a very small period of time for our heart rate to go down, and you might start to feel a little bit chilly. Now, the real Nordic sort of way would be to let your skin go dry. So actually, what you can do is you come out the sauna, wait until the sweat dries on your skin, and then you go back in. What we're doing between the cold and the heat is what we call like Nordic cycling. So we'll go from the high, and then we go down to the low, and we'll climb back up. So we're kind of becoming friends with both elements.
Would you say it's better for you to then do that versus just going in the sauna for 20 minutes at, 85 degrees or whatever? Is it better to go in for 10 minutes and come out and do this, some degree of kind of coldish water, and then get back in again for another 10 minutes?
Yeah. So cycle back and forth. Yeah. So we're going to the high heat and going back into the cold, and we go back and forth. And this sort of accelerating and decreasing. Your system's basically on full exercise, and it's releasing all sorts of chemicals from, obviously in the sauna, you've got the serotonin. Oh, absolute gem. And then you've got the endorphins, dopamine, and you've got this sort of like hormetic sort of stressor going on, and this stimulation of being in the cold in nature. I mean, the best way to do it would be to find somewhere beautiful to go and do it. But you can go to, some gyms have like the ice baths, or like some setups might have the ice bath in the sauna. But just try and play with it on small periods and build up. It's like going to a gym. When you go to a gym and you want to get strong, you do a structure, and it would be step by step, stage by stage, to help your body build and get stronger. It's exactly the same when it comes down to this. Your body loves step by step and stage by stage and building from the bottom up, rather than going, right, I'm going to do 15 minutes of 110 degrees and I'm going to get in that water and I'm going to stay in there for however long, and I'm going to come back out and I'm going to race back and forth between them. And I'm not going to give myself any break. I'm just going to, your body won't like that. It has to be split, and it has to be done gently and grow with it.
Okay. And it sounds like then the cold bit you're not actually talking about ice baths with the sauna. It's more like the 10 to 20 degrees, and you kind of, you don't have to go to totally ice.
No, you don't. No, you can go for that slight chill stimulus from a cold shower, or the air. It could be just like a little bit of a breeze. They've all got different benefits of how our system reacts. Of course, my favorite is to get into the cold water, and because you get a total different lift and a total different buzz. I think just one thing to highlight on this, when you do start doing this, especially high temperature, if you are a bit down on like hydration, you probably might find that the first time you get into the cold water, you might get a bit of dizziness, like lightheadedness. So just be really mindful of the fact that it needs to be done very gradual, and don't force the system too hard.
How many reps do you do of this for how long? Like, is there any point in building up to hours? I mean, no, not that anyone has time in the day to do hours of this. And then the other question I had on this was, do you always start and end on the heat, the sauna? Do you always start and end on heat?
Start on heat, end on cold, and the reason for that is to you open the pores and sweat, and then you close the pores at the end, because if you think what the sweat, there's not much toxins, by the way. There's very, very little percentage of toxins that come out in sweat. But what you are losing, and there's one particular one, is that magnesium. So like we're sweating out our good salts, and we're sweating out stuff that we need to replenish. But one of the things is we don't need to lose any more when we leave. So like ideally you want to be closing the pores. So if we are down on magnesium and actually we sweat more, you'll probably find yourself getting a bit of a bad head. If you've ever done a sauna and you come out and you've got a bit of a bad head, it means you haven't been looking after yourself with hydration. And I talk a lot about hydration, but it's one of the tools to make this all work. So, but you mentioned
how many reps?
Yeah. So ideally, I mean, like 3 or 4 cycles would be amazing. Like so. By the time you get to about the 3rd cycle, you've used a lot of energy, so probably the cold will start feeling a bit more cold. Our senses and our reaction to stuff like that, it does get heightened, because the cold receptors, especially, we've got more cold receptors on our hands, our face, our feet, and things do get amplified a little bit more when we actually get a bit more tired and less energy. So one of the things you might have noticed is getting into the cold water. If you're a bit tired and a bit run down or a bit just exhausted, you go in the water and it feels even more colder.
Oh, yeah.
That's because it's just not a natural. Like we're human and we need rest and energy and everything. So performance is all down to that energy.
I've just been up at the Arctic recently. What were you doing up there?
So earlier this year, I've been up to the polar circle and did 78 degrees north and swam a kilometer down towards minus 1.4, and it was probably the biggest highlight in my ice swimming journey, as it was a dream to actually go swim in such a cold place. It was. I tell you where it's come from. This dream. I watched David Attenborough's Frozen Planet when I was younger, and I always wanted to go there. I was like, I want to see that pure white pearl, lush, so crisp place and the animals and everything. I thought, I'm just going to get eaten because I'm like the biggest tasty snack out there, and they'll be queuing up to get me. And then I'll just not last 2 cents. Plus the fact you can't just rock up there. You will just get eaten. So, but when I became a winter swimmer, like an ice swimmer, I started dreaming about the fact I want to swim in the coldest place, one of the coldest places on the planet. So I started looking into it, and I've only managed to, like this year, I've managed to get to my dream of swimming up in the Arctic. So I'm on my way back up. I've already booked back in to go back up in the next few months.
Booked in with who then? So is this some organisation, 78 Degrees North, is this an organisation that takes people up regularly? Is that a thing?
No, so basically this is a team of people from an absolutely fantastic company that I'm very, very close with, who runs a very similar sort of setup as me. They also have a swim venue and they do excursions and adventures. The Swim Your Swim is the business that I'm going with. So basically, and because of my credentials, I actually was acting as one of the officials there, the ice observers, and I managed to get on board with them and go up to Svalbard and swim off the coast of Svalbard.
Ah, what a dream. What a dream. It's amazing.
It was absolutely sick.
So we have 3 closing questions that we ask everybody.
Okay.
So first one is, what's one habit that you're trying to stop?
Eating dairy.
Hey, interesting.
I having dairy. That's one of my biggest falls is cheese, man. It's it's brutal. I can't eat it, and I'm not intolerant, but I just love cheese, and it's probably one of the things that doesn't help me. Yeah,
I've got into mascarpone recently. We always have like frozen berries in the freezer, so I'll always I love nothing more than getting like a tablespoon of mascarpone with some frozen berries on, squirting a bit of maple syrup on it, and that's like the best dessert ever for me.
Talk to me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So next question, what's the most overrated piece of advice?
I get a lot of people who want to swim an ice mile. And I get a lot of people who say that they want to do they want to swim a mile at under 5 degrees, and I get that quite a lot. So I'm guessing that quite a lot of other people get the similar sort of question as well, and other coaches. And I've heard people say some of the most ridiculous things to others, especially online. About how to train for that. And I think the biggest bit of advice from that is to get people in the cold and become friends with the temperature and go through a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Don't expect. I always tell people not to expect the first season as an ice mile or something like that. So yeah.
Take your time. All right. So final question. What's one habit that you think those listening should add to their daily routines? What's the biggest hitting habit, routine, or ritual?
Stop being so comfortable. We are buggers for central heating, lovely warm showers, opting for flavors and sugars and stuff like that. Stop going for comfortable and things that make us feel really nice, is to try and get out of that comfort zone and start using the body where it can go, and start building a stronger self.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Fenwick. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've got so much from that personally, and I hope the listeners have as well. Cheers, mate.
Sweet.
Well, massive thank you to Fenwick Ridley for coming on today's show. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I feel like I got so much from that so much that I'm going to add into my own daily routines and rituals. I just hope that, some of it was useful for you too. If you enjoyed it, give us a subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another episode.